Let's talk to a guy who's coaching a lot of other big games, and as we were just discussing, the new head coach at the U, long time at Georgia. Our friend Mark Richt is in our studio here. Good to see you, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
It was great, the piece that Will Reeve was doing when you were at the U. Earl Morrall was your coach.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Earl Morrall was the coach. Jim Kelly and I, in that picture, Jim and I were both seniors. And then Vinny Testaverde and Bernie Kosar were both true freshmen. And then Kyle Vanderwyn, I think, was a sophomore at the time.
That senior year was my true freshman year at Notre Dame. The last game of the season, we played in Miami and got smoked. But that was one of the times we stayed after the game because we had a thing that the morning after, and they were very, very hospitable after you guys beat us. You guys were very hospitable to us for the night.
I think you stayed another night because because we live in paradise.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It wasn't bad at all.
And so again, just to be clear for those of you who weren't watching with us on ESPN2, I mean, you were there when all the legendary Miami quarterbacks were there, sort of at the same time. Of those guys, I'll put you on the spot.
Okay,
who was the best one? Who was the best when you watched them?
Those
you said,
three. When Jim and I were seniors, you'll have that first scrimmage of the year. And then, you get your ones and twos to scrimmage, and then you get your 3 unit in there, and you let your freshman quarterbacks take a drive, right? So I can't remember which guy was first, but Vinny might have been first, and he was just like bang, 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 like 6 for 6 touchdown. Then Bernie goes in there, bang, 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 6 for 6 touchdown. And Jim and I looked at each other like, it's a good thing we're getting out of here because these guys are going to take over. But, Jim Kelly was one of the most fierce competitors. And I hated it because he's the guy that beat me out and lived my life, so to speak, when I had my dreams of playing at Miami. But he was phenomenal. And the one thing about him, remember the Chevrolet player of the game, or the Chevrolet game of the year?
Yeah.
What was that? I don't know what network had it, but every time we were on that game, he was the man. He was Chevrolet player of the game every time we were on national TV, and he just was a big-time player.
I remember that award. Chevrolet player of the game. That's exactly it. So I always tell Green, when free agents, players, or coaches are making moves, we always talk about there's a variety of reasons you can make a move. So for you, obviously, there's more than just one, I'm sure. But how much of it was that you got to go to your alma mater?
It was big, but when you coach, coaching's tough enough. If you don't have a chance of winning, it's just not very much fun at all. So I wanted to go to a place where you could win. And obviously Miami's got 5 national championships in the last 30 years, and Miami can win for sure. But, to add to it, it was my alma mater, and the timing of it was perfect. I thought about sitting out a year after my time at Georgia, but when the phone calls and the text messages came from former players and just said how much they loved me and how much I blessed them, I said, you know what, Lord, I'm not done. And then the Miami thing was right there, and I knew it wasn't going to be ready a year later. So
timing is everything, huh?
It was time. Yeah. It was time to take it. Time to do it.
People go through changes in their life, and this is obviously a huge one for you. And so you look back on your experiences. What will you do differently, if anything? What will you have learned from Georgia that you will do differently here?
Oh, not a lot different. I think I was the 4th winningest coach in America when I left there.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah,
we did some good things, but I truly cherish every moment I was at Georgia. 15 years at a place like that. It was a wonderful experience, and my wife and I were real blessed. I got to raise my children basically in one school, Prince Avenue Christian School, the whole time they were in high school, and now we're empty nesters. It's time to move to paradise and have a ball down in Coral Gables.
But what comes with it. You mentioned the 5 national championships, but a lot of it is what have you done for me lately? And, and in this league, it's been Florida State, it's been Clemson, and all those guys, those former players that were writing you basically love letters to get you to go there. Just as quickly, if you don't win as much, are going to write different letters. Yeah. So to you, what's the expectation of getting your team up where everybody talks about them like they're talking about Florida, like it used to be in the day?
Well, first of all, the guys that were texting me and calling me, they were former players I coached at Georgia, and the guys I coached at Florida State. It wasn't the football alum at Miami, although we've got a good relationship with them too so far, right? Yeah. But no, I think those guys are hungry for victory, and they want great things to happen. But I think the big thing is recruiting. We all know college football, a huge part of it is recruiting, and we've got very fertile recruiting grounds in the Miami area. The Tri-County area of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties got a lot of great players, but Miami also traditionally has gotten great players from all over the nation, and we'll continue to do that. But just put in a good, sound, fundamental scheme and get after people. I mean, just don't self-destruct. Let's see how great Miami can be if we just take care of business.
Mark Richt is here in our studio with the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, half the cost. I bring this up somewhat hesitantly because when I brought it up earlier this morning, Golick yelled at me as though it was somehow my fault or my idea. Mm-hmm. But the American Football Coaches Association and the NCAA Football Oversight Committee and Bob Bowlesby, who was the chairman of the Big 12, have all talked recently about the possibility of the elimination of the kickoff in college football because there is a disproportionate amount of injury on that play versus others. We don't have the exact statistics. I bring this up. Golick yells and screams at me as though somehow this is my idea.
Well, I don't want him to yell at me either, depending on how I answer the question.
Generally, you must have heard some of this conversation. What are you hearing, and what is your perspective?
I'm not hearing a lot about it other than what you're telling me, but it has been discussed over the years. I was on the board of trustees of the American Football Coaches Association, so that subject's kind of come up before. I'll be honest with you, I'm okay without a kickoff.
You are, really?
Golick's going to yell at you.
Yeah, I'm okay without a kickoff.
Do you think it'll happen?
It could. I'll say this. For the first 15 years or so of my career, I'm offensive coordinator. I'm up in the box. Mm-hmm. I see the game from the box. I'm getting ready to call plays, things of that nature. I go down the next 15 years on the sideline, and you sit there and you witness what happens on a kickoff. It's a violent play, and guys are running full speed, and you got a bunch of guys that are young and strong and brave, and no one's backing down. And so, yeah, I think that's a play that I could live without. A lot of people probably are going crazy right now about it, but when you see it up close, it makes sense to me.
Well, that's interesting because, Dabo Swinney sat in that seat and yelled kind of like I did at Greeny.
Yes, he yelled at me as though, again, these are my ideas. Well, let me ask you, because, again, you just put together 15 and 15. It's 30 years now. You're in the business. You're a lifer. You were a player. We are seeing so many changes to the game in the interest of player safety, which makes sense. Obviously, you want to keep players safe, especially with serious injuries to the head. I know I'm asking you to sort of make a complicated thing, but where would you put a line between how much you're willing to change the game of football in the interest of safety and where you get to the point where you say, look, at the end of the day, this is the game and we're going to either play it or not?
I don't know that answer.
Yeah.
But you asked me the question about a kickoff and how I feel about it, and I let you know. But
how much has it changed? How much have you seen it change, and how much have you had it change? No,
the game.
The game in the interest of keeping players safer.
I think it's changed a good bit. I mean, even like right now, we're teaching the rugby tackling that they do at the Seattle Seahawks. We're bought into taking the helmet out of the tackle, and Manny Diaz, our defensive coordinator, is a believer of it. And he's been doing it for a few years now as a coach. And, we think that's a smart way to play football, and we think it's an effective way to play football.
I agree with that. You're seeing that more and more, the rugby-style tackling as well. One other thing that's going on is communication. We know in the NFL they use the headsets till 15 seconds in the play clock.
Right.
The CFL, it was 10 seconds for them, but they've changed it to where now they can talk all the way to the snap and past the snap, to which, again, I yelled at Greeny for that because I think
as though it was my rule.
As a QB, I would hate that.
Oh, I would absolutely hate that. And as a coach, you'd probably love it.
But you were an offensive coordinator.
Oh, no. I would love it. I would love it for the first 15 seconds or whatever it is. Call the play and shut it off. But if you're a quarterback and if you have a coach who's in your head the whole time trying to tell you what to do as the play's being run, it would be crazy. But I think the ability to get the play in quickly, and for that matter, a defensive coach could get his call in quickly. I'd be all for that.
And so going to your situation, because we were talking about different college situations where people use the board and the hand signals, and everybody looks over to the sideline to get it, and then the calls come. You got a quarterback in Kaya who I like, big, a tall kid, good arm. I like him. So talk about him as far as again communication and getting plays in. And ability to
the thing of it is, I mean, half the part of signaling your plays is worrying about who's getting your signals. Yeah. So if you just say it to the quarterback right now and communicate that verbally to the team, or maybe a quick little hand signal here and there, I think it would speed up the game, and I think it would also keep people from stealing signals and things of that nature, although they may be trying to break into your
the
headsets, you know. I mean, who knows what would happen next, but no one would ever do that, would they?
No, absolutely not.
But Brad is a deadly accurate passer, a very good decision maker, and he's got great vision. I mean, that guy, something will happen in practice, and I'll be watching it, and I look at practice through the eyes of the quarterback. And I'll be like, I'll never say what he did was wrong. I'll always say, what did you see and why did you do what you did?
Right.
And sometimes he'll come back and say he saw something, and I'll be like, I don't know if you did. But then you go back and watch that tape, and he was right most of the time. So he has a great ability to see the big picture and be able to come back and tell you exactly what he saw and why he did what he did.
I've got Brian Cashman ready to go, so a final quick question for you, Coach. Looking ahead.
Right.
What will you say will constitute a successful first year for you? What do you want to be able to say at the end of this season, looking back and say, this was a successful first year for me at the U?
Well, I'm not going to put any limits on what we could do. I believe we can win the Coastal and play for the championship, and you get to that game and anything can happen. And obviously, if you win that one, hopefully we're in the 14 playoffs. So I'm not going to put a lid on what can happen this year.
Well, headline, Mark Richt guarantees Final Four.
So we certainly wish you luck. You got the game, obviously, against Florida State. I wish you luck against every game except October 29th. I
hear you.
At Notre Dame. So,
Coach, it's a pleasure to see you again.
See you, Jim.
You're always welcome
Appreciate
here.
it.
Thanks a million for coming by. Good luck.